Howdy friends and fellow beer geeks, I'm Wes, the craft beer geek, and tonight I have a special beer review for you. This is a Belgian Flanders Red, Flemish Red Ale, the Rodenbach Grand Cru. This is sort of the beer all other Flemish Reds are judged against, sort of. This is sort of the best known example of the style. If you don't know, if you're new to craft beer, this is a sour ale style of beer, and it can be kind of shocking in the flavor. A lot of people are sort of very surprised about the flavor of these Flemish red ales, just because they have such a different taste from any other beer. With the process that they use to make this beer is they add lactobacillus to the beer, which is a bacteria that's a naturally occurring bacteria that's inside your stomach, and it's also used in the production of things like cheese and wine, and it's sort of a way to get foods to break down and start to ferment. And then they use the yeast they use is called Brettanomyces, and it sort of works. It's a slow working yeast, and it sort of turns things sour. So it's a very interesting process, very unique beer, unique style of beer. It's something that may be a little bit off-putting at first, just because of the shock of how it tastes. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this in a glass and sort of give you some of the tasting notes on this style, and this one in particular, the Rodenbach Grand Cru. I have had this before at a tasting. I haven't had a lot of it before however, I have had a lot of the local brewery here in Florida, which is Cigar City. They do a Flemish Red called Sea Bass, which I have had many times. I love it. It's great. So I'm familiar with the style, and I don't drink a lot of it. There's not a lot of examples of the style available here. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and get a review of this and so this is the Rodenbach Grand Cru. It comes in at 6% ABV, and this is a mixture of 33% of a new beer, and then they mix in 66% of the aged sort of beer. So let's go ahead and get this open, and these do have a tendency to pop sometimes. So hopefully this will there it goes. But it's not going to gush, so that's a nice thing. I'm drinking this out of a sort of a snifter type glass. Pour that out here. It does sort of have a very reddish color to it, a reddish hue. Does get a pretty decent head, some small bubbles, a lot of carbonation in this glass, as you can expect, is how violently the cork came out. There's quite a bit of carbonation in here, so it's quite active. Just very nice looking, a little bit cloudy, very pretty red color. I'm sure the lights are washing this out, but it's a very pretty color. So let me go ahead and give you a smell tasting here. Smell. Okay, so this is like it's like a vinegary sort of wine note, like a really like a Merlot, good Merlot wine or something, you know, very sort of dank and rich and sort of that vinegary bite to it, but sort of fruity also, you know, not a real harsh vinegar, just a nice, like, fruity vinegar. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste and tell you what I think of it. This isn't as vinegary as the Cigar City Sea Bass. It's a little bit toned down. It is still very, very, very strongly vinegary, but it's toned down a little bit. It's very, very fruity. Just really nice tasting beer. You know, when comparing this to the Cigar City Sea Bass, this is a little bit sweeter, I think, than I remember that being. It has been a couple months since I've had that, but this is a little bit sweeter. Just like I said, a little bit toned down. Just has that nice, really nice tart finish. I mean, if you like sweet, tart kind of things, you're gonna love this beer. It's very different, very tasty, very wonderful. Almost like a pear. I'm getting a pear flavor off of this, like a well-ripened pear. Just very nice though. Such an enjoyable beer. As I get deeper into this beer, I'm getting some of the oaky notes from the aging. You know, it's got that nice wine barrel sort of taste to it that you get in a nice, like a Merlot or something. You know, dark red wine. A lot of similarities in the flavor, but it has that nice tartness, like I said, I'm getting a little bit of pear. There's almost a little bit of cherries, sort of, you know, just the tartness maybe more than the flavor. There's so much flavor going on in this beer, so many different wonderful flavors going on. You get the fruitiness, you got the oakiness, you got the sour, and it's not like any other beer you've ever tried, I guarantee. It doesn't taste like beer, you know. It's not going to taste like anything you've ever had before if you never had this type of beer before. It's one of those beers that should be a lot more popular than it is. It is growing in popularity. It's something that's sort of trending in craft beer now. But it is a difficult beer to make, and it does take a long time to make, just because the fermentation process on this is very slow. You know, from what I understand, the Brettanomyces yeast is just very, very slow, and it takes a while to make this. So when a brewery wants to make something like this, they have to tie up their fermenters for a long time in order to produce something like this. And so it's typically very expensive. This 750 bottle actually is only, it's a 750 milliliter bottle, and it's $7.50 here in Florida usually, and that's a steal for this good a beer. You know, generally other examples like the Cigar City, for example, is twice as much as this. So it's very good. I'm not getting anything in the way of an alcohol burn on this. You know, it doesn't even taste like an alcoholic drink at all, other than maybe that little bit of a winey note you get to it, but you would never know there was alcohol in here. It doesn't have any kind of burn or anything like that. I'm having trouble with this review. I know it's a little bit rambly. I'm sorry about that. I'm sort of going into uncharted territories here, trying to describe this beer that I'm not all that experienced in myself. I'd like to have more of them, but they're just, like I said, they're just not available. This one and the Cigar City are the only ones I really know of. So if you're trying this yourself, you're sort of sharing in the experience of this one with me. But like I said, very tart, sour, oaky, fruity, just a nice drink, a really light mouthfeel, very refreshing. And I think that's something that Michael Jackson, the beer critic, said is it was the most refreshing beer he's ever had. Just a, an interesting drink, you know. Just throw away the idea that it's a beer at all. It's just an interesting drink in general. So I think I've rambled on pretty much long enough about this beer. I think I've said all I need to say. It's, like I said, sort of a sweet and sour, vinegary, fruity, oaky, vinous, winey sort of drink. I mean, I'm even having a hard time calling this a beer because it's, you know, if we gave this to somebody who had never had it before blindfolded, I don't think they would. Ask them what they were drinking, I don't think they would ever come up with beer even with 10 guesses. You know, they might say it's vinegar, they might say it's some sort of wine. Who knows what they're gonna say it is, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful beer. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this bottle. With that being said, for a review, take this with a grain of salt, since, like I said, I've only had this one and one other one, but I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 just because I enjoy it so much. And I think it's a really, really, it's a great tasting beverage, and it's something interesting and something that challenges what the average person thinks of as beer, and it is beer. It's you know, fermented malted beverage. It's beer, you know. So with that being said, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It's amazing. It's a great value. It's a great taste. It does everything it needs to do and more. So thanks for watching this review. I'm sorry if it was a little too rambly, but I enjoy it. I recommend everybody give this a try. Like I said, it's reasonably priced, $7.50 for pretty much for a bottle, big bottle of it. You can share it with friends and enjoy it. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, and we'll see you soon. I'm Wes, the Craft Beer Geek. I don't drink bad beer. You shouldn't either. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.